This is the plaintiff, Julia. She says the defendant's cat attacked her cat on multiple occasions, and the louse won't reimburse her for the vet bills. He's a nasty neighbor who has a reputation in the neighborhood. She doesn't feel comfortable dealing with him directly, so she's suing him in this court for the $1,000 he owes her. This is the defendant, Peter DeLuca. He says this is a case of mistaken cat identity. His cat didn't get into a fight with the plaintiffs. It was another cat in the neighborhood who has attacked other cats before. He's sorry her old cat was injured because he's an animal lover, but there's no proof his cat did it, and he's not paying. He's accused of a feline foibles. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $350 for money he's owed.
All parties, please raise your right hands. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Julia, you are suing Mr. DeLuca for $1,000 that you say he owes you for pain and suffering and follow-up vet visits because, according to you, his cat attacked your cat. Tell me what happened.
So I just want to back up to my first face-to-face with Peter DeLuca. It was an afternoon. I heard some rustling outside the back door to the patio, which is off of the kitchen in my cousin's house. I saw Mr. DeLuca, or the defendant, come up into the neighbor's yard and lean over my cousin's wrought iron gate with a huge pair of binoculars. And at that point, I stepped forward to the screen door and I asked him if I could help him and what the binoculars were for. At that point, his cat had already been attacking Athena repeatedly in our yard, in the backyard and the front yard. And his two other cats would come around occasionally as well. Princess is the black cat that's very distinct. She is maybe full grown, but a runt. I'm not sure, but she's a beautiful little black cat. All his cats are beautiful. So initially it was just Princess that was coming over and attacking Athena repeatedly.
What do you mean by attacking Athena?
She was coming in, stalking her in the yard, and then attempting to attack her.
The
Multiple
attempts
times.
mean what? Swatting, like physically describe the attempts so I can envision it, because attempts is a conclusionary statement on your part as opposed to painting the picture. Tell me exactly how the cat attempted.
Okay. So there is a physical attributes to a cat stalking prey or another animal, and that's getting down on its haunches, and creeping up to the other animal or cat or whatever it is.
Okay.
This happened repeatedly, and both my cousin and I witnessed it multiple times. I never said anything to the defendant about it up until the point that I had the first face-to-face with him when he was in the neighbor's yard leaning over my cousin's wrought iron gate with his binoculars.
I got to tell you, the first thing I'd ask him about wouldn't be attempted attacks on my cat. I'd want to know what he was doing there with the binoculars. Did you ask him? And
that's what I told you. The first thing I said was that the first words out of my mouth were, and what are the binoculars for?
And what did he say?
He stammered a little bit and he said, your cat's so beautiful. I just wanted to get a closer look at her.
I bet. Okay, so go on.
So there was a little dialogue about the attempted attacks, just to fill him in on that I was aware of his cats and told him a little bit about Athena. Although the whole thing, I just felt uncomfortable, just the whole face-to-face with the binoculars, creeping into the neighbor's yard and leaning over with the binoculars, which were massive. I've never seen binoculars that big. So I did tell him at that point that when she came to me, some of her teeth had been removed. She did clearly belong to somebody before she was found on the streets in LA, and that she had asthma. I never said she didn't have any teeth at all. And I also never said that she was feeble or old or decrepit. I said that she was a docile cat and did not go out looking for trouble or trying to stir up a fight with any other animal. She basically stayed in the yard, front yard, backyard.
Okay. So what happened that caused the vet visit? Tell me about that.
So there was one incident before that where Princess did, and I did witness Princess running off as right after it happened. She cut Athena's tail open. I also did not tell the defendant about that day because it happened in between the vet visit and my face-to-face with him. I just watched her. I tended to her wound.
But why didn't you say
to
anything to him?
I didn't want to deal with him. I didn't feel comfortable.
All right. So according to you, you see his cat leave, but you don't report it to animal control. You don't report it to him. You don't report it to anybody that his cat attacked your cat.
I think at one point I did call animal control to see if I had any.
Did you do it at this point on that day that we're now going over, which is
I can't recall.
Okay.
I cannot recall.
All right. Did you take your cat to the vet on that occasion?
No, because I've had animals my whole life, and I just watched her and I cleaned the wound the best I could, and I just made sure she was okay, and she was fine. So I didn't.
All right. So now tell me what happened on the day in question where your cat ends up having to go to the vet.
On 9/9/21, I was outside with Athena again. I walked over to the gate. I heard like just this insane cat, the sounds they make when they're fighting.
Unmistakable sounds of a cat fight.
Yes. Oh my God. I just screamed and I ran around the corner and I saw Princess take off from Athena. Athena was sitting in a pile of her fur, literally a pile of her fur, was completely stunned. I watched Princess, she took off and ran straight back to Peter's house.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, is your yard fenced in or no?
Yes.
Okay. So then what happens?
I took Athena in through the back door and I just monitored her for a while. Tried to see if I could, if there were any exposed wounds. I saw blood in a couple of spots on her haunches. And she was just a mess. She wouldn't let me touch her for over an hour. She was miserable. I could just tell. She kept trying to find a comfortable position and couldn't. So I monitored her for probably a little over an hour, maybe a couple of hours. And then I called the vets and I told them what was going on. And they said to just continue monitoring her, that they were completely slammed. And everything in COVID right now, it's impossible to get an appointment unless it's like 2 or 3 months out, literally. So Athena did not eat. She did not sleep.
At any point in time, had you contacted the defendant to tell him this is what I saw?
No.
Had you contacted animal control that night?
No, not that day or night.
Okay.
No. My concern was her well-being and getting her to a vet.
Right. You're sitting there monitoring her. You could also pick up the phone and call Peter or walk over and knock on his door and tell him what's going on. I know that's your concern, but it doesn't prevent you from alerting someone. All right. Now tell me, when do you decide to take the cat to the vet?
So I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I called the vets again, and I probably got her there about 6 a.m.
And what did they do with her there?
They shaved half of her back. They cleaned her wounds. Did they have to stitch, or did they just clean the wounds and give her antibiotics? And when cats get wounds like this, because of the infection that can happen, they will not suture the wounds. They leave it open so it can drain. And actually, when I took her in,
when did you finally tell Mr. DeLuca what had happened on this first vet occasion?
When I got back from the vets and got Athena settled in the house, I went over and took him a copy of the bills and told him what had happened. And
what did he say to you?
He seemed surprised, like his cats would never do anything like that. Even though I'd already told him that Princess had been, and the other cats had been in the yard multiple times, but especially Princess, stalking Athena, and he'd already known that she had cut her tail open. When did he? Wait, stop, because I asked you that. How did he know that she had cut her tail open? Because I asked you if you told him that, and you said no. I'm sorry. After the first face-to-face with him, in between the two incidents, he came over and gave me his phone number, said that I need to call him every time I go outside with my cat to let him know that we're going outside every single time.
So that he could keep his cat indoors?
Yes.
And you said to him what?
I said, that probably is not going to work. I said, let me tell you, can I tell you the times that Athena goes out? Because she has 2 times a day that she goes out. In the morning, around 9 o'clock is what I told him. And then in the evening, about 5. And then she comes back in the house.
Okay. Can you tell me when you told him about the cut tail? That is the only question. Concentrate on that and answer just that.
At that time.
Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. DeLuca. When she brings you the first vet bill, what did she say to you and what do you say to her?
Well, first of all, there were 2 times she came to my house. First time was with the minor incident with the cut tail. She came to my house. She said she applied first aid for the cat. And I said, look, here's my phone number. Let's work this out. I want Athena to be outside. I love cats to be outside. You call me and I will keep Princess in when you want Athena to go out. And then the second time she came over.
And then she says that she didn't really want to have to call you all the time. So what she wanted to do instead was she told you, my cat goes out from 9 to 9:20 and 5 to 5:20. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate. She said that the cat likes to go out early in the morning. She didn't say 9 o'clock, early in the morning and dusk.
Okay.
And my cat likes to go out too. So, and now if there's any sort of overlap with minutes, a tack only takes 30 seconds. So it really needs to be precise. So I gave her my phone number. I said, let's do this together. Let's work as neighbors and cooperate. I love cats. I've had cats all my life, and I love for Athena to be
And what was her
outside.
response to you? Boy, both of you digress with the cat thing. Just listen. What was the response that she gave you regarding calling you and cooperating with you?
Oh, she didn't say anything.
She didn't say, yes, I will. She didn't say, no, I won't.
She didn't say anything.
Okay.
She just took my phone
So
number.
now the second time she comes over is because there's a vet bill and there's been a purported attack and she's taken her cat to the vet. What did you say to her when she presented you with the bill?
I was in shock. I've had my cat for two and a half years, and I said, I can't believe my cat would do so. My cat has never done anything like that.
Well, but she had brought up to you on prior occasions that she felt like your cat was aggressive to her cat. So when she brought you the bill, what did you say to her? Besides being in shock, what did you say?
I said, I'll pay it.
Okay. Did you pay it?
Yes.
All right. You end up taking the cat back to the vet a couple of other times, but that was over the same attack, correct, Ms. Julia?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So there were follow-up visits, and then what happens is you present him with the follow-up visit bills, and Mr. DeLuca, by now you're getting tired of paying bills. So what is it you say to her regarding the follow-up visit bills?
She wrote on the invoice that the cat was reacting badly to the medicine. And I looked at the invoice, and it said that it was $350 for a blood test, which is very procedural. All cats get that, and 2 consultation fees, each for $150. And I remember her telling me when I first met her, when I had my binoculars, of course.
Yeah, what were you doing with binoculars looking into her yard?
Okay.
That's creepy as hell.
Well, our neighborhood is teeming with wilderness, with deer and coyotes. And I even had a bobcat in my backyard about a year and a half ago. So I saw Princess go up towards Julie's house. I'm not allowed on Julie's house. So I took out my binoculars and I sat across the street.
When you say you're not allowed, you mean you didn't want to trespass, or is there a stay away order?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And another thing I want to mention is
so you
that
had
Pam,
binoculars and you were looking at what?
I was watching Princess move towards Athena, who was in front of the door.
And what was Princess doing?
Stalking.
Okay.
I will be honest. She was stalking. I watched, but Athena then moved away and went behind to the backyard where the fences are. So I just want to mention this. I have cats, and I know the area is dangerous, so I keep my front door open. I rang her doorbell and I said, Athena is in danger. Why don't you keep your door open? She said, no, I don't want to let the bugs in. This is a dangerous neighborhood. And if you really care about your cats, you do what you need to do to keep them safe. Okay. I have an article here from International Cat Care. And the question is, my cat is being beaten up by another cat in the area. What should I do? And the response is, but the underlying truth is that the victim's owner, which is Julia, must also take responsible steps to protect his or her property, which is the cat. The victim cat is clearly unable to deter intruders or defend its own territory, so the owner has to intervene in this case. This cat, which is a senior cat, 9 years old, with health problems, and she told me the cat had health problems, and missing some teeth or all teeth, I'm not sure, she let the cat out and shut the door and did something else. When she came over with the bill, I said, where were you when this happened? And she said, I was doing something else. That is negligence. You don't do that in a dangerous area where there are coyotes and bobcats and other cats. Now, Pam, who lives next door, 12 years ago gave me permission to be on her property. And there's an email that you have, Your Honor, that Pam has written that says that she allows me to be on the property anytime I want. So I wasn't trespassing. I care about Julia. I care about Athena. I care about all cats. And it's just, and also when she wanted the cash, I said, no, I'll give you a check. She said, okay, but leave my name off. And I look at the vet bill and she blackened out her name. She didn't want me to know her name. And then later on, when I went inside, I saw that she did call me and it said private number. She had never had any intention of ever cooperating with me in coordinating times that Athena could be out and Prince could be out. I don't know why. Everybody sees life through their own filters and lenses, and hers is dark, in my opinion. She's paranoid. I did nothing. I gave her the money out of love. I know it's hard to believe, Julia, but I did. I didn't have to. Princess was attacked 7 years ago by a cat, and I paid $200.
Let me ask you, Ms. Julia, if your cat is missing numerous teeth, that means it's hard for your cat to defend itself. And if you know that there's a neighborhood, because see, these aren't dogs, right? They're cats.
Right.
So with dogs, it's so easy because the owners have to have their dogs on a leash. And if a dog comes into your yard, well, case over, right? But these are cats, and there is no cat leash law where you are from. And there are actually places that have cat leash laws, which I thought was hysterical. But most places don't, and yours doesn't. And so he's right when he says it becomes an issue of cooperation. You have alerted him to the fact that there is a problem, you know, that there's a little hostility and that Princess comes into the yard and whatever else. But he can't stop. Princess is a cat. So cats are allowed to roam free without collars. So Princess going into your yard is not a problem. Princess doesn't know the law of trespass. And he is not beholden to keep Princess on a leash. So Princess going into your yard is not a problem. The problem is Princess going into your yard, you knowing it, you telling him, and then there not being some method of cooperation to see that the cats are not out at the same time. That's the only way to stop your cat from being bitten and attacked. Or you're outside with the cat. If it's 20 minutes twice a day, then you're outside with the cat to make sure your cat doesn't get hurt. But what did he do wrong? In other words, I know what Princess did. Slam down, sue Princess. You get the money out of Princess, the next time Princess gets an allowance. But see, you're suing Princess's owner. So that means he has to be derelict in some duty. You have admitted to me that he gave you his name and his number and said, just call me if there's, so we can coordinate this. I hear you and I understand you think he's creepy and you don't want to because binoculars and you're living alone there.
That's not the only reason.
Well, okay, whatever the reasons you have for thinking he's creepy and not wanting to cooperate, they are your reasons. As he says, we all see the world through our own lenses. No one can take away your reasons. That's fine. But when someone tells you, here is the answer, and you don't have another answer because you don't leave the door open for your cat to come back in. You don't stay out there for your cat. You don't erect 20-foot walls so his cat can't get in. I was being facetious when I said that. When there is no other solution, okay, you're just angry that his cat can roam free and don't feel it should because it attacked your cat. But he's not doing anything wrong when his cat is running free. So if you're not willing to call him and say, hey, can you make sure Princess is in because you don't want that kind of contact.
I'd already heard a number of things about him.
Listen, you don't have to convince me. Whatever it is that bothers you, it bothers you, and that's fine. I understand. But unless he violated some legal duty, he doesn't have to pay for your vet bills. It's just if he violated a legal duty. So tell me what legal duty he violated. Cats are cats. They're allowed to be out. You already know the same thing he knows. He's offered a solution that you're not comfortable with. That's fine. But you're free in America and you can make any decision you want. It's wonderful. But then you come to court and you say he was irresponsible. There's a cost to making the decisions we want to live by. If you don't want to have to call him, and I don't blame you. I mean, fine, whatever reason you don't want to have to do, you're not comfortable. That's fine. But that was one solution where if he then broke that solution, you could say, hey, we had an agreement. He broke the solution. My cat got attacked. He's got to pay the vet bill. But you're not willing to do that. And that's fine. Now, what are we left with? What duty to you did he violate? He lets his cat out. His cat is allowed to trespass. His cat is not supposed to be on a leash. There's nothing the man did. If it was a dog, it would be a different story. But it's a cat. Your cat can roam. His cat can roam. All cats roam. It's very unusual that a cat only do the rounds like it's in jail and, just goes around. That's not how cats act. And the law recognizes that. So they don't limit where his cat can go. It's up to the adults in the room to figure out a way to keep the cat safe. Based on what I've heard, I'm ruling in favor of the defendant in this case. And then your counterclaim against her to refund the money that you've already paid, no. As you say, you did that out of love or civility or neighborly niceness. And once a gift is completed, you can't sue to get the gift back.
So in one of the rare cat attack cases we've had on the People's Court, the plaintiff fails to prove she deserves $1,000 from the defendant. Ms. Julia, let me ask you, what are you thinking? The judge gave you a really good explanation. How are you feeling right now?
She did, but she also didn't take much of the evidence into that was given to her in regards to the case into effect. And I know about cat leash laws, whatever. But, when your cat is staying in your own yard and your other than healthy thinking neighbor knows about the attacks and doesn't do anything about it, even though they've been told repeatedly that she goes out at 9 o'clock in the morning for about 15 minutes and 5 p.m. for about 15 minutes, I didn't feel comfortable having contact with them. A lot of people in the neighborhood don't.
Well, you didn't listen to the judge. He didn't break a law. What'd you want her to do?
My cat doesn't roam. She stays in the yard. So there lies the rub for me. It's not like she was going out looking for trouble. It came to her repeatedly.
Well, there's really nothing you can do about it but work it out with the defendant. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to talk to him. So it comes to being your problem. Mr. DeLuca, what's your reaction to all of this? You're smiling there.
Shock.
What are you thinking, Peter?
Shock. I gave her $350 and I didn't have to. If she wants to be paranoid and see life through these dark lenses of hers, that's her choice. I've been living here for 16 years. I get along with everybody. I love Pam. I love all my neighbors. They all love it when I walk my cats up the street and down the street. Some people call me the cat whisperer. I want Athena to be outside. If she changes her mind and wants to communicate and give me her phone number, I'd be more than happy to work with her.
Well, she claims she doesn't let her cat out of the yard. Your cat comes into her yard or comes over there. And yet the judge says there's nothing she can do about it. Your cat is free to roam. Cats can roam. That's look, fine. It's an interesting case. You're just going to have to work it out with your neighbors.
September, there's been no incident, which means she's finally acting like a responsible owner and either keeping the cat in the house, the senior cat, or staying close to it, which she promised to do it when I talked to her.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much.
So, Doug, we have spent, 1,000 million gazillion hours talking about the leash law over the run of the People's Court. The leash law typically applies to dogs and not cats. There are a few jurisdictions that actually require that cats be on a leash, but for the most part, cats don't have to be on a leash. If a dog is off a leash and then causes an injury to a person or another animal, the dog owner is automatically responsible. Not the case with a cat. So that's why these cases actually get a little more complicated when it's cat-on-cat violence.
Marilyn, you've probably spent about a third of your adult life on the phone with customer service. So do you ever actually tell them who you are?
Oh, like how? Like, do you know who I am? Like, that's going to help?
That's always
They'll put me on hold longer.
Never helpful, right?
That's never helpful.
But you know what does happen sometimes? They figure out who you are.
Yeah.
Either from your voice or they start putting things together. How often does that happen?
It's happened a few times, and when it happens, they're usually very excited.
Right.
Because if they recognize my voice, they're a fan, or if they recognize the name, they're a fan.
Right.
So
do you get the refund then?
I'm usually calling to fix something, not to refund something. But it's nice to be loved.